So there I was yesterday, 7 years into my career as a software engineer, staring at my screen for 45 minutes, trying to remember how to reverse a string. A string! You know, that thing I've done literally thousands of times? Yep, I had to Google it. And not just Google it, I had to scroll past 3 Stack Overflow answers before finding one that looked familiar enough to trust. And in that moment, I thought, this is it. This is the day everyone finds out I'm a complete fraud. If you've ever felt like an absolute imposter, despite the fact that your code actually, works, congratulations, you have imposter syndrome. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't have imposter syndrome, you're either lying, delusional, or you're one of those LinkedIn tech bros who post motivational quotes about crushing code while secretly Googling what is a Boolean. The dirty secret of software development, nobody actually knows what they're doing. We're all just professional Googlers with really convincing poker faces. Let me tell you about senior developers. You think they just know everything, that they wake up and intuitively understand distributed systems and database indexing? Nah, they're just better at hiding their Stack Overflow tops. I once watched a principal engineer spend 20 minutes debugging why his React component wouldn't render. The problem, he forgot to return the JSX. This person makes $400,000 a year. This person has architect in their title. This person couldn't remember to put a return statement. And you know what? It's fine. It's totally fine, because that's what development actually is. We're not walking encyclopedias of syntax and APIs. We're problem solvers who happen to know where to find answers quickly. Here's what they don't tell you in those day in the life of a software engineer videos. Actual coding is maybe 20% of the job. The other 80% is Googling error messages, reading documentation that was last updated during the Bush administration, and scrolling through 47 Stack Overflow threads where half the answers are "this question has been marked as duplicate" and the other half are "just use jQuery." The people building billion-dollar infrastructure are out here copy-pasting from Stack Overflow like the rest of us. Jeff Bezos could probably afford to hire developers who never Google anything, but even Amazon engineers are frantically searching AWS Lambda timeout fix at 2 a.m. You want to know the real tea? A 2020 study found that 58% of software engineers admit to feeling like frauds. The other 42%, they're lying. Or they're AI bots. One of the two. And get this, Guido van Rossum, the guy who literally invented Python, has said he doesn't always feel like he knows what he's doing. Read that again. The person who created an entire programming language that millions of people use every day sometimes feels like a fraud. If the father of Python is out here having existential crises, you're definitely allowed to panic when you forget how a for loop works. But here's the thing about tech that nobody warns you about. It moves too fast for anyone to keep up. You spend 3 months mastering React. Cool, React 19 just dropped with a completely new mental model, and everything you learned is now legacy patterns. Your expertise has a shelf life shorter than grocery store milk. JavaScript frameworks evolve faster than bacteria. One day you're a Vue expert, the next day everyone's using Svelte, then it's solid.js. Then someone invents a framework that compiles to WebAssembly and runs on blockchain or whatever, and suddenly you need to learn Rust to be a front-end developer. The moment you get comfortable, boom, everything's deprecated and you're watching another 17-hour YouTube tutorial just to feel like a functional member of society again. Let's talk about the Stack Overflow copy-paste ritual that we all pretend we don't do. Stack Overflow literally tracks this. They ran a study and found that 1 out of every 25 users who visits a question page copies something within 5 minutes. That's 40 million copy events in just 2 weeks. 40 million! So when you're in a code review and someone asks, where did this elegant solution come from? And you're like, oh, I just thought it made sense architecturally. Meanwhile, you literally copied it from a 2017 Stack Overflow answer written by someone named XX_CodeNinja420_. You're not alone. We've all deployed code we don't fully understand. We've all pushed commits that are basically just prayers wrapped in try-catch blocks. Please work, please work, please work is not proper error handling, but it's definitely how I've shipped features. And honestly, that's fine. That's normal. That's literally how development works. Why would you reinvent the wheel when someone has already built a perfectly good wheel and posted it online for free? We call this knowledge reuse. Fancy term for, I have no idea what this regex does, but it works, so I'm not touching it. The difference between a junior dev and a senior dev: juniors Google the problem and copy the first answer. Seniors Google the problem, copy the first answer, read through it to make sure it's not malware, maybe change a variable name so it looks different, and then confidently explain it in the pull request like they wrote it from scratch. Let me tell you about the absolute farce that is technical interviews. You spend weeks grinding leak code, memorizing how to invert a binary tree, something you will never do in production, by the way, and then you get into the interview and completely blank on how to reverse a linked list. Meanwhile, your actual day-to-day job is figuring out why the CSS won't center, Googling git revert versus git reset, and explaining to your PM that making the button blue is somehow a 13-point story because the design system is held together with duct tape and tears. Nobody in a real job is asking you to implement quicksort on a whiteboard while someone watches you like a hawk. You know what real developers do when they need to sort something? They use .sort. You know what they do when they need a data structure? They import a library. You know what they do when they forget syntax? They Google it. The entire interview process is designed to make you feel like an imposter. You could have 10 years of experience shipping production code that serves millions of users, but if you can't remember the time complexity of bubble sort in a 45-minute pressure cooker, suddenly you're not technical enough. It's absurd. The whole system is broken, and yet we all play along because that's just how it works. Here's the uncomfortable truth about imposter syndrome. It never fully goes away. I'm sorry, I know that's not the inspirational message you wanted. You don't just wake up one day and think, yep, I'm a real developer now, time to stop Googling things. Here's what actually happens. You get better at hiding it. You build up patterns and solutions, but you'll still have days where you forget something basic and wonder if you've been faking it this whole time. Imposter syndrome isn't a bug, it's a feature. It means you're learning. It means you haven't become one of those insufferable developers who thinks they know everything and refuses to adapt. The developers who don't feel like imposters, those are the dangerous ones. The ones who haven't realized their 2015 knowledge doesn't apply anymore. The ones who write 10 times engineer in their Twitter bio unironically. You know what's worse than feeling like an imposter? Actually being one. And you become one by stopping learning, refusing to admit you don't know something, and copy-pasting code without understanding it. So here's my advice. Everyone is faking it. Everyone. Your tech lead, Googling Docker Compose command in another tab. Your CTO learned Kubernetes from the same YouTube tutorial you did. We're all making educated guesses and hoping the servers don't catch fire. Be honest about what you don't know. Let me look that up is a power move, not a weakness. Junior devs who ask questions are more valuable than senior devs who nod along and break production. Keep a brag document of things you've shipped, problems you've solved, code reviews where you helped someone. When imposter syndrome hits, look back and remember you actually do know what you're doing. Bottom line, if you can write code, break it, Google why it's broken, fix it, and ship something, you're a real developer. Imposter syndrome means you're self-aware enough to know how much you don't know. That's not a flaw, that's wisdom. The Dunning-Kruger effect says the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So feeling like an imposter might mean you're more competent than you think. Now, excuse me while I Google how to exit Vim for the 800th time. I know you've done it too. We're all imposters just trying our best. And somehow, against all odds, the internet still works.
Smash the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed this.